This is the all-new Community Connection. I'm your host, Jade Harrell, keeping you connected to our community. All right, well, a local organization is getting national recognition and award. We're talking about BioSTL, and they have a great opportunity and exciting news to share with us today. I'm joined by Natalie Clay.
Hi.
The programs coordinator, programs manager, I should say, at BioSTL. Welcome, Natalie.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm absolutely glad to have you. Well, good on you guys.
Thanks. Yeah. We're excited.
Yes. Well, for those who don't know, let's introduce our audience to BioSTL.
Sure. So BioSTL supports innovation and bioscience here in St. Louis. Mm-hmm. So we were started in 2001 by Dr. William Danforth, the Chancellor Emeritus at Washington University. And we were started with the recognition that St. Louis historically has had great corporate strengths in bioscience and great university research strengths in bioscience. But candidly, there wasn't much in the middle, right? We didn't really have an infrastructure to pull the new ideas out of the universities to make them into companies so that they could be acquired by our big companies so that we could grow our regional economy. So that's really what BioSTL does. We spent the first 10 years building infrastructure locally. We raised the first venture funds for bioscience, the Cortex Innovation District, where the IKEA is. That's how most folks know it.
Exactly.
Spun out of BioSTL. And we built our nonprofit company building and investment arm, BioGenerator, and did a series of activities really to support innovation and entrepreneurship here in St. Louis.
I mean, you all from what the sounds of it, you've done incredible work that is unprecedented in the area and has created tremendous opportunities for folks. And I am certainly a witness to that. But how were you all able to create this idea and so much come forth from that? I mean, it really, truly reflects Mr. Danforth, of Dr. Danforth, of course. But it's just powerful how in a space where we didn't see that before, it is now incredibly flourishing. Why is that?
We were started as the Coalition for Plant and Life Sciences. So every quarter for the last 16 years, 45 civic, corporate, university leaders have come together to work as a coalition to build this. And so for the first 10 years, BioSTL only had 2 and 3 staff members, and the rest were volunteers that were part of the coalition. And so really, as a region, our leadership has come together to build the infrastructure that we're all benefiting from today.
And that speaks volumes for our leadership, volumes for the collective gathering of their genius and forethought, but that it really can happen here in St. Louis.
Yes. St. Louisans, we're fortunate we have a yes spirit, even though we're in the show me state. It's also the show me the opportunity state.
That's right. Expectancy.
Exactly. And so for our organizations to come together in such a powerful way with such a long-term vision, you know, it takes time for these kinds of things to develop, but we're really starting to see the fruit of the labor, which is great.
It's powerful. It's powerful. You look, we look like a different place.
We do.
In a short period of time. So who are some of the organizations? Who are the folks you guys hanging out with?
So we do a lot of work with a lot of different people. We work very closely with our partners in the innovation space. So I-10, which is the IT Entrepreneurship Network, St. Louis Makes, which supports innovation in our advanced manufacturing. Of course, the Economic Development Partnership and the Regional Chamber and the Cortex District and T-Rex, which is our co-working space downtown, and Prosper Women Entrepreneurs. There's so many I mean, we could spend hours listing the partners, but it is. It's really great. And our universities are partners, and our big hospitals and our corporate, you know, our Monsantos and our Millipore Sigmas. And it really is a great community.
For sure. And you talk about community. One of the terms that I feel has come forth from BioSTL and the work we're seeing is that whole idea of an ecosystem. Share a little bit about what that is and why it's so valuable for us.
Sure. We use ecosystem to talk about entrepreneur support in the same way that we would use ecosystem to talk about biology. You know, when you're in middle school and you learn about how there are different components to the ecosystem that add up to something that is robust and self-sustaining. So when we talk about our entrepreneurship ecosystem, there's a couple of different pieces. There are the entrepreneur support organizations. So organizations like BioSTL that support the individual entrepreneurs. Then there are facilities. So Cortex, CET, I-10 are co-working spaces that the county puts together. So you need facilities, right? You need places for people to do the work, right?
That's right.
We have funders. So we have some funders that give grants. We have some funders that do investments, the state funds. So that's part of our ecosystem. We have people that pay attention to policy. So BioSTL has a lot of partners that work with the state of Missouri to grow the amount of money that is available for entrepreneurs. So these are all components that we need to make sure that we have the robust resources for companies to grow here in St. Louis.
And why is that a big deal?
You know, there are some places where they're really strong in funding. So think Silicon Valley, lots of money, right? But if you go to Silicon Valley, there's so many people there. It's so crowded. Yeah. The support for growing entrepreneurs just isn't there. Yeah. And so it's really difficult. And BioSTL and our regional partners, we really care about inclusion. We really care about making sure that women, underrepresented minorities have the access to the resources to build companies, because we know that companies build wealth.
There we go. Yeah.
And so we know that it's really important that we need every piece of our ecosystem to make sure that everyone can participate in the entrepreneurship journey.
That's what makes the term so defining, is that in an ecosystem, there are little parts, but every part is a very important contributor to the success of the whole. And we see that happening.
Absolutely.
Well, not only us, but folks are seeing that it's happening. And you all have just received quite an esteemed honor from the Kauffman organization.
Yes.
Tell us more about that and what that means.
Sure. So since 2008, BioSTL has been convening regional conversations about the importance of making sure that everyone is able to participate in the innovation economy.
Now, everyone, you mean everyone?
We mean everyone. We mean women. We mean underrepresented minorities. We mean immigrants. We mean our young people. We mean our people that have second and third careers. So we have had a real focus on inclusion, and our partners have as well. And so since 2008, we've been meeting, we've been working together on activities and events, but candidly, not in a intentionally organized way. It's been sort of ad hoc. So the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation out of Kansas City is a national funder around entrepreneurship support. And in June, they released an open call for proposals for new ideas to help support women and underrepresented minority entrepreneurs. And we saw this as an opportunity to be able to get some money to intentionally align the activities that we have around inclusion, and our partners have as well, to make sure that, 1 + 1 is equaling 3. We have a lot of activities that are good. Our partners have a lot of strong activities, but candidly, we haven't seen as many new entrepreneurs that aren't male and pale as we would like to. We love all of our entrepreneurs, and we know that there's probably untapped potential in St. Louis. We, along with 11 other organizations, submitted an application that ended up receiving $420,000 for the region of St. Louis over 2 years. It was the largest grant that was given. There were 12 that were given nationally. We got the most money, and we're the only region, and I think this is really where the opportunity lies. We're the only region that is spending the money, not just implementing programs.
For sure. Now, that's really a clear... That's a great distinction, because oftentimes you think, well, the check gets written, hey, let's roll out some more programs. But you all had already recognized that. Right. That the programs are there. Right. There's plenty of opportunity there, but the end result is we're not seeing more women. We're not seeing more people from our immigrant community. We're not seeing the diversity that would make the programs even more effective. So you already got that. And so out of 12 nationally, and I'm sure there were hundreds of applicants.
There were 376 applications.
Look at that.
And we were one of 12. So yeah, this money, it's a lot of money.
It is.
But to your point, it's not going to be going to food at an event or advertising for a conference.
Good on you.
This is about us stepping back and strengthening our connective tissue across organizations. So having the space and time to get on the same page about what do we mean when we talk about diversity and inclusion? What are we measuring? Organizations are not measuring the same information. And then to that point, we're also not sharing that information. So building shared data systems, having shared learning experiences about equity and what does racial equity mean in entrepreneurship and gender equity, right? We hear these terms thrown around and we don't really know what that means because unlike education or healthcare, when we talk about equity, everyone gets to the same positive outcome. When we talk about entrepreneurship, there's inherently competition in that, right? So equity and entrepreneurship is a little bit more of a complicated idea, and we haven't had that conversation yet.
And nor was the template in place before.
Correct.
And what model would you have followed to date?
And I sure there is one out there. I can't find it. If any of your listeners know of one, send it over. And so, again, this money really allows us to strengthen our connective tissue to get everyone rowing in the same direction in the region. And again, I'm really hoping that this will ensure that 1 + 1 is going to equal 3.
I love that. And that analogy throws some folks off. They're like, well, what do you mean by 1 + 1 = 3? Expand on that some.
Sure. So we want to make sure that our activities are additive and not simply repetitive. So if an individual entrepreneur comes to BioSTL and we work with them and then we send them to a partner organization, we want to make sure that they're growing in their knowledge, that they're growing in their skills, and that we are making smart use of our resources. As entrepreneur support organizations, for the most part, we're nonprofits. And so we have limited budget, we have limited staff, and we know the opportunity in St. Louis is so expansive that we need to make sure that we are working smart in addition to hard.
Absolutely, because the dollars could just, when you talked about the expanse of it, I mean, you could apply, and then what did we in the end gain from that?
Right.
Did you go in with the expectation that you'd get the check?
Well, I had to because, you just got to do that actually. So BioSTL applied. I wrote the application on behalf of the collective and found out about the competition 72 hours before it was due.
And you brought it.
And I spent the weekend
Bravo.
in front of my laptop and
made it
We're
happen.
so fortunate that our partners, when we called them, they all just said, yep. That's great. Sign us up. We'll do it.
Sign us up. We'll do it. So, whatever you need. Yeah.
Now we have to figure out how we're going to do it.
Oh, please.
We got to do it.
Well, if you pulled that off in 72 hours, and by the sound of it, you can hear the passion in it that's personally relevant to you. So that's something that you bring. That with any organization that I've spoken with, any representative, when that's there, then you can crack through almost anything. And just even listening to you is exciting to me.
Thank you.
Because you really paint the picture and make the vision plain and energetic. It's so really wonderful to hear. How did you even come to be in this kind of work?
Sure. So my background is actually, I'm a trained social worker and spent a number of years working with an organization I know you're familiar with, Beyond Housing.
I am.
Yes.
Did I know you when you were over there?
I think I was on Chris's show once. I'm kind of remembering this booth a little bit.
But for sure, the light is just even brighter from there.
Yeah. So I managed a number of collective impact groups there around public health and economic development and the built environment. And so this framework of collective impact, the science and the rigor of it, applying this framework to affect population level change, I believe very much in. And so this is the framework that we're bringing to this collective.
Absolutely.
Really, how do we get partners aligned in strategic ways and not simply working together, but working together in a really intentional way.
Yeah, and sometimes with these big partners, making that coordination happen and that communication happen, it takes some finesse.
It does. It does. And so Travis Sheridan, whose organization Venture Cafe is a partner on the grant, he always emphasizes that he wants less collective and more impact, right? And so it could be easy to sit. Yeah, he's great. It could be easy to sit in the process of just talking. And we have 2 years to do the work of the grant. And so we're really committed to talking and then action.
Love it. Absolutely love it. All right. Well, then let's bring it back to the people. You says if someone comes to BioSTL and you then talk with them and realize what kind of support they need, and if they need to be referred to a partner organization, who comes through the door? Who is this invitation for?
So, we really have an open invitation.
Okay.
But
you're bioscience?
We're BioSTL. And so bioscience is our content expertise. The great part about the ecosystem in St. Louis is that we're really close with all of our friends in the different sectors, whether it's I-10 and IT, St. Louis Makes and Advanced Manufacturing, CET for, technology based. If it's a general concept, our friends at Arch Grants or Prosper, if our founder is a woman. And so what I like to say is, come one, come all. If we can't help, we'll know who to call.
Absolutely would know that. All right. And then so you've got 2 years. You're going to have to hit the ground running. But I know that you have been in motion. We see the fruit of that. What will be the very first thing to do to start getting that tissue connected?
Yeah, so part of it is looking at the data. Okay. And so not only looking at BioSTL's data in a strategic way, who's come through our programs, what success have they had, what has led to that success, but really asking our partners if they'd be willing to share so that we can understand what is the landscape. I don't know if we have 20 African-American female entrepreneurs or 200 in the ecosystem. I can probably guess, but we don't know that. And so if you don't have a baseline, you can't measure your progress.
That's right. What is measured is
treasured.
I like that too.
Also, what gets measured gets done.
Gets done. Exactly. That's the one I was going for, but I have just adopted the one that you just shared with me. All right. How can the community help? What do you need from us?
Yeah. So the important thing to understand about this grant is that it is very much at a systems level. And so, we've gotten calls from people that say, I'm an entrepreneur. I've got new ideas. I heard you got money. Can I get some funding?
Well, good for them.
And we're like,
for being able to step up and say that.
Right, for being proactive. So at this point, it is not a funding grant. Again, this really allows us as organizations to step back and build some connective tissue. However, we know that we're going to need to make some changes as organizations and as service providers. And we know that the people who know the most information about the changes we need to make are folks in the community, right? And so there will be an ask. This is part of the activities. It's part of what we're going to be evaluated on. There will be a community ask for feedback and input, and we take that seriously and we listen. And so that will come. And so when that comes, we'll come back and ask you to help us broadcast that message.
Well, you can count on me for that, because that's where my passion lies, is sharing that with our audiences, and so that access to the information, and there's no boundaries to that,
right?
Based on not knowing.
Right.
I want to eliminate those.
Yeah, so and we're going to...
for that.
Great. Thank you. I'm going to hold you to that. We're also going to be issuing periodic reports to the community so that they know what we're doing.
Well, you'll probably have to help us walk through all that.
We will. I'll make sure that it makes sense to someone other than me.
Thank you. If not, just, be there to field our questions.
Yeah.
We certainly want that. Well, I know that you all work at Things for Us to Do, so we'll be looking for that. Tell folks where they can follow, find, get connected, and be a part of the great things you're doing, and most certainly get submerged in this ecosystem for success.
Yeah. So feel free to visit BioSTL at biostl.org. You can find our contact information. My email is nclay@biostl. People are always welcome to reach out. There's lots of information on the internet about this grant and who our partners are. So feel free to Google Kauffman and BioSTL, and you'll see the whole list of partners. So some of your listeners might already be connected to one of them, and they are welcome to go through those folks as well.
Right. And then by seeing those may even open up some ideas and opportunities to go take a look and knock on some doors.
Absolutely.
That way too. Absolutely love it. Natalie Clay, the programs manager with BioSTL. Success. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing the great news.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that's it for this week. If you have questions or comments or have something you'd like to include in the community calendar, you can leave a message on our message box at 314-333-8369, 314-333-8369. And for more information about our show or any of our guests, you can visit us online and listen to the podcasts at Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker.com. And search Community Connection with Jade Harrell. You all be blessed, do blessed, and take care.